Dear friend, have you ever heard the saying, we don't stumble over big rocks, but over the small pebbles in our path? In medicine, I see this truth every day. Most people don't fall because of one big sudden illness. They break down slowly, quietly, from the small daily habits that wear out the heart and blood vessels over time. I remember one patient, 62 years old, fit, active, loves sports. He never once thought he'd be at risk of a stroke, but he had one habit. Every morning, he jumped out of bed quickly to head outside for his workout. One cold winter morning, he stood up too fast, felt dizzy, and collapsed next to his bed. In just a few seconds, everything changed. That was the first time I had to say to someone, you've had a minor stroke, and you're lucky to be alive. What I want to emphasize is this. Our heart and brain don't like sudden shocks. Sometimes just lying still for one more minute, taking a deep breath, moving gently before sitting up, that alone can save you from a stroke that could cost your life. And that's just one of the 15 silent habits I'm going to share with you today. Each habit might seem small, like a pebble, but if you remove them, your road ahead will be much smoother and far safer as you age. I'm a doctor with over 35 years of experience working with patients over 50, and my deepest wish is for you to live long, live well, not in an ICU bed. If you care about your health, please subscribe and hit the bell, because on this channel, I'll share with you the kind of insights that could save your life or the life of someone you love. Let's begin. 15 silent habits that secretly trigger stroke and heart attacks. 1. Sleeping late, sleeping too little. I once treated a 54-year-old CEO. Busy, successful, always telling me, Doc, I'm used to 4 hours of sleep. My body can handle it. But after 3 months of staying up late to finish a big project, he collapsed from a stroke at 3 a.m. He never realized that sleep is like your body's night crew, the maintenance team that repairs your heart and blood vessels. If you don't give them time to work, your system slowly breaks down. Eventually, your body will scream for help, often in the form of a stroke or heart attack. So please get 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, and ideally before midnight, when your cardiovascular system gets its most crucial recovery time. 2. Skipping or stopping your medications. Another case, an older woman with high blood pressure. She was doing well, so she stopped taking her meds on her own. 2 weeks later, she was rushed to the hospital with a brain hemorrhage. Here's what I need you to know. Medication isn't just to make you feel better now, it's to keep the disease under control long term. High blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease are silent enemies. You may not feel them, but they're quietly damaging you inside. Always carry your meds, take them on time, and never stop without your doctor's guidance. If these first two stories gave you pause, remember, this is just the beginning. Next, let's talk about a habit that's incredibly common and incredibly dangerous. 3. Chronic stress. Stress does more damage than most people realize. One of my patients ran a busy shop, always worried about orders, staff, finances. She lived in constant alert mode, ready to handle anything. She'd tell herself, I'm used to this pace. I can handle it. But here's the truth. Your body never gets used to stress. When you're under constant pressure, your heart and blood vessels are like an engine forced to run at high speed all the time. It may run for a while, but eventually it overheats, breaks down, fails. I've had patients come in with racing hearts, high blood pressure, chronic fatigue, simply because they hadn't let themselves rest for months. And sadly, many people only realize how vital rest is after they're lying in a hospital bed. The good news? The solution isn't complicated. Every day, take 10 minutes to meditate, go for a slow walk, breathe deeply, or simply chat with someone you trust. These little pauses are like turning off the engine so it can cool down. It's the cheapest and most profitable investment you'll ever make in your health. 4. Showering right after drinking, a dangerous trap for your heart. One situation I've seen many times in the ER, a patient rushed in after a party, not because they were drunk and fell, but because they took a shower after drinking. It sounds harmless, right? But in reality, it's a cardiovascular trap. When you drink alcohol, your blood vessels expand and your blood pressure drops slightly. Then if you immediately step into a cold shower, the sudden temperature change causes your vessels to constrict rapidly. That sharp shift from dilation to sudden contraction can send your blood pressure swinging wildly, like slamming the brakes on a speeding car. It can burst a blood vessel in the brain or trigger a heart attack instantly. I once saw a perfectly healthy man, laughing and chatting just minutes earlier, collapse in his bathroom after taking a cold shower post-drinking. The solution is simple. If you've been drinking, wait at least 2 to 3 hours before bathing and always use warm water, never cold. Don't let an innocent habit become the reason your life takes a tragic turn. 5. Smoking after drinking, a silent, deadly combo. I'll never forget one summer evening years ago. A man in his 50s, lively, healthy, beloved by everyone at the table. After a few drinks, he pulled out a traditional pipe and joked, "It's not a party without this." He took one deep inhale of strong pipe tobacco, and seconds later his face went pale, his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed at the table. Despite emergency care, he didn't survive. Pipe tobacco contains nicotine levels many times higher than cigarettes. Nicotine causes intense blood vessel constriction and a rapid spike in blood pressure within seconds, enough to trigger a stroke or heart attack almost instantly. Combine that with alcohol, which has just relaxed your blood vessels, and the body experiences a sudden shock. To your heart, it's like a sucker punch, and often you don't get a second chance. Now, don't assume cigarettes are safer. Cigarettes may not strike suddenly like pipe tobacco, but they're a silent killer, damaging blood vessels, accelerating plaque buildup, injuring your heart, and doubling your stroke risk with daily use. I've had patients with blocked arteries or heart attacks who never suspected their years of just a few cigarettes a day were to blame. Alcohol plus nicotine, whether it's a cigarette or a pipe, is an extremely dangerous combo, especially after age 50. If you've ever thought, just one puff for fun, I hope you'll think again. The safest choice? Quit entirely. If you can't quit yet, then never ever smoke after drinking. Don't let a 2-second habit take away an entire lifetime. 6. Getting out of bed. Too quickly in the morning. One morning, a 58-year-old woman, one of my patients, woke up like usual. Worried about being late for the market, she jumped out of bed too fast. Within seconds, the room spun and she collapsed onto the floor. Luckily, her daughter was nearby and got her to the hospital in time. Diagnosis: postural hypotension, which triggered a transient ischemic attack, a mini stroke. Here's what happens. While we sleep, our blood pressure drops naturally. If you wake up and immediately jump up, your blood hasn't had time to reach your brain properly, and your pressure hasn't stabilized. Dizziness, fainting, and even strokes can happen, especially in older adults or those with heart or vascular conditions. It's like flipping a light switch before the wires are even connected. Your system just isn't ready to handle the sudden demand. The solution is easy but powerful. When you wake up, stay in bed for 1 to 2 minutes. Gently move your wrists, ankles, neck. Then slowly sit up. Make this your morning ritual. Those few seconds of patience might just protect you from a lifetime of health complications. 7. Eating too much salt. I once treated a 65-year-old Vietnamese-American man who had lived in the U.S. for over 20 years. He didn't drink, didn't smoke, and walked every morning. But one day he was hospitalized with dangerously high blood pressure and early signs of heart failure. As I dug deeper, I found the culprit not in his lifestyle, but in his kitchen. The average American consumes twice the amount of salt recommended by the World Health Organization, about 10 grams a day, when the safe limit is just 5 grams. And here's the real danger. Most of that salt doesn't come from your salt shaker. It comes from processed foods like canned soups, cold cuts, cheese, packaged sauces, and ready-made meals. Too much salt causes the body to retain water, increases blood pressure, forces the heart to work harder, and damages blood vessels, a fast track to stroke and heart failure. The fix? Start reading nutrition labels. Choose low-sodium options. Keep total salt intake under 5 grams a day. Sometimes just cutting back a little on salt can buy you years of healthier living. 8. Sitting too long after a big meal and drinks. One night in the ER, I treated a 60-year-old man who came in with chest pain and shortness of breath. His family said he had attended a wedding that afternoon, sat for over 2 hours after a big meal, chatting and drinking a few more rounds. As he stood up to leave, he clutched his chest and collapsed outside the restaurant. After a heavy meal and alcohol, your blood becomes thicker and more viscous. If you sit still for a long time, blood can pool in your legs, increasing the risk of a blood clot. And if that clot travels to your brain or heart, it can cause a stroke or heart attack. It's like a ticking time bomb, just waiting for the trigger. Solution: after eating, especially with alcohol, stand up and take a gentle walk for 10 to 15 minutes. Even a slow stroll helps blood circulation and reduces your risk of clotting dramatically. 9. Drinking too much, too fast. I once cared for a 46-year-old man, fit, no known heart issues. That evening, he went to a friend's birthday party. To avoid killing the vibe, he accepted every toast. Within 15 minutes, he had downed 5 shots of hard liquor. Before the party even ended, he began to feel chest tightness, a racing heart, shortness of breath, and ended up in the ER. Diagnosis: acute atrial fibrillation, a dangerous heart rhythm that, if not treated quickly, can lead to stroke. Alcohol, especially in large quantities or consumed rapidly, shocks the heart, causing irregular rhythm, blood pressure spikes, and increased clot risk. In medicine, we even have a name for this: holiday heart syndrome, because it happens so often during celebrations. Protect yourself. Limit yourself to 1 to 2 standard drinks per day max. Never binge or drink rapidly. Remember, a fun night isn't worth ending it in the emergency room. 10. Cranking up the AC or fan right after drinking. One summer evening, I faced one of the most heartbreaking cases. A man in his 50s came home from drinking with friends. Feeling hot, he blasted the air conditioner and laid down right under the direct airflow. He fell asleep and never woke up. Here's what happened. Alcohol dilates your blood vessels and causes your body to lose heat more quickly. When exposed to strong, cold airflow from a fan or air conditioner, your vessels constrict too fast. This sudden change can cause sharp blood pressure swings, irregular heartbeat, or even cardiac arrest during sleep. It's especially dangerous for those over 50 or with high blood pressure or heart conditions. What to do instead? Set your AC to a moderate 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 to 28 degrees Celsius. Avoid letting cold air blow directly on you. Use a light blanket or sheet for protection. Don't let a few minutes of cool air cost you a lifetime. 11th, exercising outdoors in cold weather. I had a 63-year-old patient who was extremely disciplined with his exercise routine. Even in the bitter cold of winter, he would wake up at 5 a.m. and jog in the park. One winter morning, it was just 54 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees Celsius outside. He had only jogged a few hundred feet when he felt chest tightness, broke out in a cold sweat, and collapsed. Thankfully, a passerby saw him and called emergency services. Diagnosis: acute myocardial infarction, a heart attack. Here's why. In cold weather, your blood vessels naturally constrict to conserve body heat. If you exercise too early before your body warms up properly, your blood vessels constrict even faster, and blood pressure spikes. If you already have plaque buildup in your arteries, this pressure can rupture a plaque, form a clot, and block blood flow to your brain or heart. The fix is simple, yet often ignored. Warm up thoroughly indoors first, wear proper layers, and if it's too cold, delay your workout by an hour. Sometimes just waiting a little longer can save you from a life-threatening cardiac event. 12th, rushing outside into the cold. One early winter morning, I treated a 67-year-old man who had suffered a stroke. His family said he had just woken up and rushed outside after hearing the dog bark. The outdoor temperature was around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 13 degrees Celsius. Within minutes, he felt dizzy and collapsed on the driveway. The body, warm from being inside, reacts sharply to cold air. Blood vessels constrict suddenly to retain heat. This abrupt temperature change can spike blood pressure and thicken the blood. For older adults, especially those with arterial plaque, it's like forcing the vessels to withstand a sudden pressure surge. If even one plaque ruptures, a clot can form and cause a stroke immediately. Prevention is clear. Before stepping outside, bundle up properly, especially your head and neck, the areas that lose heat fastest. Give your body a minute to adjust before fully entering the cold. Just a few moments of caution can prevent a massive health crisis. 13. Overeating, especially late at night. I'll never forget a late-night emergency case. A 61-year-old man who only had mild high blood pressure and was otherwise healthy had attended a family gathering that evening. He ate a large meal, lots of meat, some beer, and then went straight to bed. At 2 a.m., he woke up with severe chest pain and shortness of breath. Diagnosis: heart attack. When you eat a heavy, fatty meal, especially late at night, your heart has to work harder to support digestion. At the same time, your blood sugar and triglycerides spike, putting additional stress on your heart and blood vessels. If this happens while you're asleep, a time when your body should be resting, the risk of a nighttime cardiac event rises significantly. The solution is simple but powerful. Eat light at dinner. Avoid heavy meats, fats, and sugars. Finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. You'll sleep better, digest easier, and give your heart the rest it truly needs. 14. Partying or drinking when you're already exhausted. One weekend evening, I received a panicked call about an old acquaintance, Mr. Hung, 58, a retired office worker. That day, he had attended a family memorial, even though he had been feeling off, slightly dizzy from several nights of poor sleep. But he didn't want to seem rude, so he went anyway, had a few drinks for fun, and stayed up late chatting. Near midnight on his way home, he suddenly felt chest pain, broke into a cold sweat, and was rushed to the ER with a heart attack. I always tell my patients, when your body is already tired, your heart and vessels are vulnerable. If you pile on alcohol, emotional stress, and sleep deprivation, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. The combination of exhaustion, alcohol, and a disrupted rhythm is the perfect storm for a sudden cardiac event. The fix? Sometimes all it takes is a gentle, honest no. If your body feels tired, listen to it. Skip the party, rest. Because no social event is more important than your health and your peace of mind the next day. 15. Climbing stairs or lifting heavy loads. Right after eating, one patient I'll never forget was a 60-year-old woman, very health conscious and careful with her diet. But one afternoon after a large lunch, she carried 2 heavy bags of rice up 3 flights of stairs because she didn't want to bother anyone. By the second floor, she felt chest tightness, shortness of breath, and had to sit down on the stairs. Her family rushed her to the ER. Diagnosis: myocardial ischemia, reduced blood flow to the heart, a serious warning sign for a possible heart attack. Here's what you might not know. After a meal, especially a large one, your body redirects a large amount of blood to the stomach and intestines to aid digestion. If you suddenly do intense physical activity, climbing stairs, lifting something heavy, or even a high-intensity workout, your heart gets pulled in 2 directions. It must support both digestion and muscle activity. Younger hearts can usually handle this, but in people over 50, especially with hidden heart conditions, this extra load can push the heart past its limit. The solution is so simple, yet so often overlooked. After a meal, rest for at least 30 to 60 minutes before engaging in any strenuous activity. A short break today could protect your heart for many years to come. Final message. As you can see, it's not the big events that destroy our health. It's the small, repeated habits every day that quietly wear down our heart, our brain, and the years we could have spent healthy and full of life. If you truly want to live longer, live better, and never face a sudden stroke or heart attack, start small. Change just 1 or 2 habits today. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this helpful, please give it a like, share it with someone you love, and hit subscribe so together we can build a life that's healthier, calmer, and more meaningful in the years to come. See you in the next video. Wishing you peace, good health, and a long, joyful life ahead.